EJB architecture in Jakarta Enterprise Beans, or EJB. Here you can see EJB architecture. Enterprise Java Beans EJB technology define a model for the development and deployment of reusable Java server components called EJB components. EJB component is a non-visual server component with methods that typically provide business logic in the distributed application. Remote client called EJB client can invoke these methods, which typically result the updating of the database. Since ES server uses COBA IIOP protocols, EJB components running on SS server can be called by any other type of ES server client or component, even COBA client using ORB from the other vendors that are compatible with COBA 2.3. Here you can see application server. The application server contains EJB container and can contain other features such as web application container to host web components such as Java server pages and Java servlets. ES server is an application server. You can see EJB container. The EJB container runs EJB components and provide required services such as enforcing application security constraints, managing transactions that involve multiple components and databases, and providing naming service that maps components and the resources to the logical names. The container provides the infrastructure required to run distributed components, allowing client and component developers to focus on programming business logic. And not system level code. EJB client. An EJB client usually provides the user interface logic on the client machine. The EJB client makes calls to remote EJB components on a server and needs to know how to find the EJB server and how to interact with EJB components. EJB components and web components can act as an EJB client by calling methods in another EJB component. Session beans and entity beans. EJB components can be of two types. Most applications include session beans to be invoked directly by clients. Session beans provide the interface between base clients and the server-side implementation of the application. Entity beans provide an abstraction of an object that is stored in a database. Entity beans are not typically invoked directly by base clients. All types of EJBs are implemented by a Java class that contains implementations of remote interface methods, and additional methods for cycle management. And client interfaces client interfaces an EJB client does not communicate directly with EJB component. The container provides proxy objects that implement the component home and remote interfaces. The component's remote interface defines the business method that can be called by the client. The client calls the home interface methods to create and destroy the component's logical name to the proxy objects that implement the home and remote interfaces. The proxies contain generated code required to invoke component over the network. Beginning in EJB version 2.0, EJB and web components running in the same server can execute EJB components using the component local interface. Using the local interface can improve performance. If an EJB component is not meant to be invoked directly by client application, you can include local interfaces for the component. Here you can see a web client is connected to JSP and servlet. JSP and servlets are inside web application container. Web application container and EJB container inside application server. JSP is connected to local home interface and local interface. Servlet is connected to local home interface and local interface. EJB client is connected to home interface and remote interface. Session bean and entity bean are inside EJB container. Session bean is connected to local home interface and local interface. Local home interface and local interface is inside entity bean, and entity bean is connected to database. Here you can see a database storage structure. Now this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for watching it.